All right, first on the agenda is, linking to a discussion about, looks like racing object deletes. Is that what this PR is about?
Hi, right. So it's about the stale entries after the deletion, and I saw a potential fix that was only focusing on timeout on Radus level, and if the object wasn't found and the return was not found. But I've experienced another situation where in Reef 18.2.2 where the user asked for a deletion and the delete was successful with a status with a return code of 0, and then when it tries to fetch the object, it fetched the object. It was 404, but on listing it was still there. So I thought that the only case that the return code might be still 0, but something might happen could be e-cancelled, because when it's e-cancelled, we in the code we say that okay, change the return code to 0 and then set it as a successful response. And I see that I mean, in a comments from Casey, you was trying to cover also the case that if we have faced a race, we should also consider it as a complete. So I was wondering, should we also consider e-cancelled in this case, or might this also conflict with something else that we don't want it to?
Um, so this code is we're sending the Rados delete on the head object and looking at error codes from that and deciding whether to cancel or complete the index transaction, right?
I guess so, right?
And a delete would have prepared a transaction to remove the index entry. So if we cancel that, then the index entry stays. If we complete it, then the index entry goes away. Is that right?
That's true, right? So in the old code, we said that, I mean, the one that Reef has is said that if return code was not, there was no error, then complete it, otherwise cancel it at no cost. And so if it gets canceled, you mean that then the bucket index entry should be again resurrected? I mean, recreated, something like that, right?
Well, we would have prepared a transaction to remove it. And so completing that would commit it. Canceling it would undo the removal, so it'd still be visible. And it looks like currently the code, if it gets e-canceled, is going to cancel the transaction. And I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, we're detecting that some other operation raced, and that other operation would be updating the index accordingly, right?
That sounds true. I guess then I couldn't think what else could it be the case, because the return code was 0, so this couldn't be either of the cases that this PR has covered. So this seems to be a new case, because when we list the bucket from RGW Redis GW admin command side, the object is not there. But if we list the bucket index entries, the object is still there. That's exactly the same case that the tracker was about. But apparently it's relevant.
That confuses me. How can those be different? Apologies for being dumb.
Uh, in what way, sir? I didn't go.
Well, RGW and bucket list should project the same entry. Should project any entry that would be projected by bucket list. Why? I mean, I'm confess ignorance. I can't. I'm trying. I'm not sure. I can't imagine in a scenario where that's not the case. But it's very interesting if true. How would that arise?
Yeah, I guess also I had that confusion. I thought it's list two different things. Maybe I mean it's not this. I need to check that definitely.
I mean, if
Maybe
you have that
somebody knows.
scenario, that's that. I mean, that's it's not obvious to me how that happens.
So Redis GW admin bucket list and S3 listings will do the dir suggest logic. So any prepared entries, they'll do a stat to determine whether or not to include them. If we're talking about Redis GW admin BI list, that would not have dir suggest stuff in it. But the BI entries should say whether they have prepared. I think they would say whether they have prepared transactions on them. Sina, am I understanding you right that those are the two sources that you're comparing?
Right, exactly. So from bucket list RGW admin, I couldn't see the object, but BI list showed me that the entry was there.
Is there versioning involved?
I can check quickly,
Oh,
but I
do
don't
we have,
think
do we
so.
have, do we have more than one entry per object on the BI list, or just one?
So I checked, the bucket didn't have versioning enabled, so I guess that's not the case.
Not enabled as in suspended or
No,
disabled?
no, it wasn't. It was disabled, no suspension.
So yeah, as Stacy said, might be that there is a DS suggest thing happening there, and you know, I didn't pay attention to the whole conversation, but if the radar subject is not there, and there's the DS suggest stuff and it does not see it, then it's not gonna return, not gonna list it.
Is there some way that we could collect more logs around a reproducer for this so that we can better root cause it?
I couldn't reproduce it. I mean, it obviously happened. The thing that I'm 99% sure it happened when my index pool was under a load and it was slow. And so I could somehow eliminate that. That's why I couldn't anymore reproduce it. And it's not happening. It was just happened 2 or 3 times in that moment. Then the user just reported that he couldn't even delete that because, well, in the delete we check the object is there and it's not there, so we return not found. We don't even go through the deletion. But yeah, that was the only moment that it happened. I don't think I can find a way to reproduce it easily. But if Radus, but the thing that was just weird it was that the return code was 0. So I could think of either it was really 0 or it was just error cancelled. That's all. This is the only two possibilities, perhaps.
But sorry, what error was 0?
Basically the operation. I mean, we have handlers that we call the execute function, and the execute function returned 0. That's what the log message for recdone is representing, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a status field that we always print the return code of the execution, and it was printed as a 0. And
On
there
the
are two
on the put?
cases on delete.
On, yeah, well, delete would swallow if it says racing removal or something else. It's gonna still return
Right.
at 0. It's not gonna save. It's not important. So something else could have happened there, and it still return success. Hey, object is not there. Great. Mission complete. Could it be like a client retry racing with itself due to like load?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really expect it, but it's certainly possible if it has more than one connection or something. Or maybe it's even erroneous in some way.
I'm looking at Sina's last comment on this tracker issue. I'm not sure if it's in the agenda, but I'll add it. And it shows the delete succeeding after latency of just under 5 seconds.
Uh, was there any dynamic reshot happening at the time?
Was there what, sorry?
Like some reshotting happening at the exact time?
No, it was just this pool was slow. That's what I'm pretty sure about. Because the bucket was just only having maybe 10,000 objects or something. It was also a smaller bucket, like even 500 objects. Yeah.
And you don't have any weird rate of timeout configuration set.
No, I already checked that. Exactly. We don't have it. Just one question. This discrepancy between bucket list and BI list is is about the output, right? Did I understand it correctly? It's not about the underlying entry in any, OMAP or something.
Well, no, I think. Well, I would like other others to correct here, but I mean, Eric or someone, or whatever. But I mean, bucket BI list, I think will print all the entries, whether they're visible or not, and and I think it'll also. Does it also include or suggest commands or anything else that might be there?
Yeah, it should dump everything.
Yeah.
It could have been now, since it was slow, so it opened up like some brace window. So it could have been like a listing that happened during the delete that the listing, and there might have been like some deal suggest on that.
Right. The action of the action of doing the ordinary bucket list could trigger or suggest. BI list would not.
Right. And maybe the deal suggest decided to update the bucket index just after things were removed there. Shouldn't happen, but maybe there's some bug that did that.
Yeah, I think the default behavior would be to not apply dir suggests that are newer than 2 minutes. CLS RGW says 120 seconds for the tag timeout.
Well, but maybe the tag was older, right? That's the thing. Maybe the object was created before 2 minutes. Tag was old. We're just removing the object as the listing showed. Then the diff, but then the diff suggest would apply the right, force the entry on the index just as it was removed. Although we should have some guard there, I assume. I don't remember. Is that an option?
Sorry, Sina, can you clarify whether this object name is still visible to S3 listings, or is it just the BI list command?
Well, actually, it was visible to the customer, so it was visible through the S3 API list buckets. That's why the application was confused about it.
Okay.
You can manually remove it using BIRM, I guess, or something like that. You should be able to.
Well, actually, if you try to delete the object again through the S3 API, it fails because I guess we try to stat the object, but the return is not found,
Yeah.
so it just
Yeah, this
stopped.
has been discussed here before. So Eric proposed we could perhaps just delete it, but the problem is obviously more importantly how we avoid the situation because it's not correct.
Yeah, but traditionally,
it's annoying. Well, it's annoying. I mean, it's annoying that you can't fix it. I mean, and if someone is going to, if they aren't going to permit fixing it, letting users do it themselves would be attractive. But users would not like to see inconsistency in the first place.
Obviously, yeah, we want to fix it. No doubt about it.
But what I'm saying is that if accepting that as a premise, which we all agree, but maybe it would be desirable to allow S3 delete to zap it, just because it's less overhead and doesn't require
What
low level access.
if you try to overwrite it, like put a new object there, then delete it, will it delete it?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So yeah.
I mean, that's I bet $100, but anyway.
The problem with just going and deleting the index, whatever there is, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons we would avoid that if we could.
Yeah.
Sina, you mentioned this was on Reef 18.2.2. It might be worth looking through the backport trackers to see if anything was backported more recently than that around deletes or index.
I
Nothing
already
comes to mind, but
yeah, I already tried, and the only thing that I could find it was this PR. But I also wanted to mention regarding the fact that Yehuda said that if there is an concurrent listing and deleting might cause something racing. I see that there was a request done. I mean, because it's really tricky to find when the request started, because the hashings are sometimes just mixed up. But there is a request done for list bucket that took 19 seconds to be done. For example, 5 seconds before the delete object request done was happened. So if the delete start happen in the middle of the list bucket, then could they race to each other in that case?
it is likely. Like if they're running at the same time, and both of them are taking long, something like that could have happened. We should look into the deal suggest stuff, whether closely see if that scenario can happen.
And one more question. So, I mean, in order to fix this problem, I did bucket check dash dash fix and stuff, and from the code it will go through the listing and probably apply that check suggestions, dear suggestions. If the user do that through the S3 API, we don't apply the suggestions, right?
No, that's not true. Their suggestions are applied whenever a bucket is listed with the ordinary APIs.
So what's the difference now between RGW admin bucket check fix and the normal listing? Are we forcing the fix?
It's completely two different operations. But the bucket fix stuff is I don't remember what it does, but specific operations that should fix the bucket index. Sorry.
I apologize. I don't know either. I mean, I wouldn't be. I don't know who might know it the best. It might apply to suggest.
I've been through the code a few times, but it's still its behavior changes depending on what options are provided as well. So I still don't have memorized exactly what it does. I have to revisit the code each time.
Like originally, bucket fix was, fix a specific bug like 14 years ago. Right. So we added a few fixes over the years, but I don't think it's necessarily do what you'd like it to do.
I guess it's about this parameter that we pass through the listing to force check filter when we do bucket list. That's what, if the user lists the bucket, it's not passed to.
Users cannot trigger the bucket fix
Right.
admin command, but for this very specific scenario, I think if user uploads an object with the same name and then tries to remove it, should fix it.
That's a good idea, and that seems true to me, right? Even though they can't delete the object that when it's in the broken state, if they upload a new object, and since you don't have versioning, this will just overwrite it in the index entry, and then after that you could delete it.
Right. But I mean,
it's not attractive. We're not defending this. We're just saying if the users need to, if you want to let the user fix it him or herself, that's how you could do it.
Yeah, true. I mean, but just thinking about because there are some applications that just list and wanted to delete, and that the moment that it fails. But if we could try to also, for example, apply that fix through the user request, if we see such a a situation, maybe that could be an auto fix to the problem. If it's tricky to identify.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of what dirsuggest does, but dirsuggest believes it knows what it's doing. It has metadata that identifies that there is a transaction that needs to be completed. This would just be a mess.
maybe the solution is around identifying that there is a broken object during some operation. Like you try to get an object, it's not there. Although we don't look at the index at that point, so I don't know. Anyway, I need to go. Sorry.
I mean, I think we need to identify the causes of this issue. I mean, we need a reproducer to try to approach one. It's but very late, as you surmise, it's almost certainly a race. If we can figure out what workflow it is racing, we can keep working on it. I have people on my team working on this. We haven't yet determined if we reproduced it. There's some, the pickups that happen with dirsuggest make it complex as well, but they're part of the system. They're transactions.
All right, anything else on this topic? Any new topics?
Sorry, I just wanted to ask on the previous topic, this could occur, this could be a problem even when we delete the buckets, right? We see similar issues in our world as well, but we see for buckets as well, like from the backend, the bucket is deleted, but then somehow you can still list it. But when you try to access or do a get or probably even do bucket stats or something, it just says no such key found. So it's a similar problem, right? It goes to the same code path.
No, I think that's a different problem. Is this in a multi-site configuration? Because
That's correct.
bucket deletes work strange there, and that they just delete the bucket entry point and leave the instance and bucket index around. So that's why you can still list it if you specify the bucket ID.
No, this is even from the S3 point, we can list it. So if you do an S3 list, S3 CMD list, you list that buckets, but you cannot do any operation on that bucket. So it's an orphan bucket sitting there. And even if you try to do a bucket stats or bucket check fix, it doesn't do anything there. Like it just bails out saying bucket does not exist, because the first thing it goes and tries to load that bucket from Rados, and that's where it cannot find, it returns -2 there, no entry.
Okay. Well, if the bucket really doesn't exist, then it sounds like the user's .buckets object is inconsistent. When you do a S3 list all my buckets request, it's just listing OMAP entries from the user.
I see. So it's not cleaned up from the user entry is what you're saying, and to fix this, you need to pack that OMAP and the user OMAP entry, the bucket, or is there a way to clean this up? Just curious. And
Rados GW admin bucket unlink maybe, but that might expect the bucket metadata to exist.
so two things. So to get into this state is again could be because it timed out, the backend timed out deleting or didn't respond RGW, and so it did not clean up the user entry.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Maybe an RGW crashed or something
Or
in
crash.
between.
Yeah, that also is an option. Yes. Okay. But it's a different code path, as you said, though. Okay, so this won't fix that part, at least issue in that front, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Kasi, just to clarify, the bucket didn't clean up because of the multi-site stuff that you talked about. That one, is it like the leftover thing? It includes the OMAP entry in user stuff buckets OMAP or not?
No, in multi-site, when you delete a bucket, it deletes the bucket entry point metadata, which is what allows clients to look up a bucket by name.
Yeah.
And that should also unlink it from the user's
Okay.
object.
I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Can you say again, Casey, what unlinks it? What could be another way of unlinking it from the user world or from the user namespace?
I'm just talking about the normal delete bucket app.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think multi-site versus non-multi-site matters in this case.
And other than unlink, there is no other option you can try for, like, unless manually hack that Rados object for user to delete it from that OMAP. Unless we create a bucket with the same name again and then try to delete, that might help.
Yeah, that sounds plausible.
But it'll have a different instance ID, right? Though, will it map to the same Yeah, bucket names are unique, so it should. Will it even allow to create? That's another interesting thing first.
I think it will allow it to create, and I think that will overwrite the OMAP entry in the user.buckets object, so allow delete to remove it.
Yeah, I might try that option actually. Yeah, that seems promising. Yeah, let me try that. Yeah, thank you.
All right, anything else for the agenda? All right, thanks everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.